Welcome back to the Black and Gold Report, again joined by cross-country head coach Gary Aycock. Coach, let's shift gears and move on to the men's team a little bit. I ask you the same questions here. Who's back? Who's new? What kind of expectations do you have for the men's team this year?
Well, we returned everyone this year, so I'm really excited about the men's outlook for the championship races. Definitely looking for Pardon Louvu to continue his strong leadership up front of every race that we've run. And we had two incoming freshmen, Jeremy Judd and Andrew Wynn, who will no doubt be vying for a top 5 spot come the end of the season. And we're going to need them to step up as freshmen if we're going to try to win a conference championship and run well at the regions.
Okay, you mentioned Pardon Louvu already, the Zimbabwe sensation, as I like to call him. He's the cornerstone of this team, I think you would agree. And he has also, like Mahaffey in the women's side, he's been named Peach Belt Runner of the Year, Runner of the Week twice already this season. What is it that makes him such an outstanding runner?
Well, same characteristics that Lydia possesses. I mean, everything he does, he puts 110% into it. And I definitely think from a coaching perspective, he's in the best shape of his life. And he set some high goals for himself, and I'm just going to try to coach him to meet those goals. He should definitely be a conference favorite to win the individual championship. And no doubt that in the region championships coming up in the beginning of November that he'll be one of the top spots there and then head to Washington for a national championship run.
How much better can he get?
How much better? Well, the sky's the limit at this point.
Right.
Like I said, he's focused on what he's doing day to day, and it's the small things that end up winning big races. So with focus, with training, with some rest, there's no telling how good he can be. And
when you get a player like this who not only is really dominating the Division II circuit, but he's also beating a significant percentage, if not all, of the Division I runners in the meets. This is a guy who really can change the dynamic of not only the team but the entire program. Am I correct in that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Everyone looks up to Pardon, and his smile is something that just sends a beacon to anyone who's around him that draws people near. And he's been an incredible leader within our program. And as far as what he can do, like we said at the national level, it's too early to be seen. But I think he's going to make some waves across the national circuit.
Well, the women have had 3 meets up to this point, and the men have only had 2. And there's a 20-day layoff between their last meet and the one that's coming up in Charlotte. Does this have any effect on the runners, or is it just business as usual for them? I mean, I suspect at the very least they're probably getting at least a little anxious to run competitively again.
Sure, I hope they are. The way our schedule's set up with our training, it coincides, and we have just started an interval phase of training, which is the most demanding phase of our particular training. And that layoff allows them some time for adaptation to the needs for the interval workouts. And the UNC Charlotte race will really tell us where we stand within our conference and within our region and our chances of qualifying as a team to the national championships.
And I assume the strong schools will be there on the men's side just as much as on the women's side.
I
as
think as of today, I think there are 40 schools registered for the UNC Charlotte race.
That's a big tournament. Well, I suspect your runners have been enjoying a lot of the cool weather we've been having the last week, as opposed to some of the brutal temperatures that we've had at the beginning of the semester. Is that true?
Right. Well, I know that they're definitely enjoying the cooler weather. I know that that when you schedule your first race down in Columbia, South Carolina in August, those of the athletes that are from Seattle or the mountain areas of the state have no idea what to expect. So we did do some afternoon work here on campus and to try to acclimate them to the heat and humidity. And the cooler weather is just, like I said, it's perfect timing with where our training and race schedule is fitting. So we're looking forward to some good training and some good racing.
Well, let me ask you a follow-up to that, if I may. I mean, how do you acclimatize a runner who comes down from Seattle or somewhere where the climate is significantly different? It's got to be quite the adjustment for them.
Right. Well, we just basically throw them into the fire. They have no choice. We do a lot of running in the morning, and we'll increment how much time they spend out in the humidity, because it's a stress in itself on the body. But it takes, anywhere 28 days for them to get used to it. You never can race your best when it's as hot as it is and as humid as it is in August, but it's something that you just have to deal with, and they've adapted well.
Now, I noticed on the schedule this year that there isn't a home meet, there isn't a Pembroke Invitational as we've seen last year and in other years past. Why is there no home meet this year? Is it just sort of how the schedule fell, or is there something else that you were thinking about?
Well, the way college cross country is heading is your large schools are now hosting invitationals, and they draw the record crowds. They draw the teams that we need to race. The UNCP Invitational historically has been a big meet, but it hasn't attracted the teams that we need to race on our meet schedule to really provide our men and women a chance to race fast. And that's why it was dropped this
Okay.
year, just to provide a challenge.
Well, of course, all of this leads up to when the things really count, the Peach Belt Championship on October 22nd in Aiken. Who in the Peach Belt do you expect to be the toughest competition for the men and the women?
Well, Columbus State, historically on the men and women's side, has just been dominating the conference, and the region rankings indicate that we were on the men's side, we were 1 point behind them in the preseason polls, and put what credit you want in the preseason polls, but I think we're as good as Columbus State or any school in the conference. And Columbus State, Clayton State, Augusta State will be the three schools that will be looking to challenge. But I don't discount any of the teams in the program because.
Well, good luck, Coach, in your meets coming up, and that's all the time that we have for this week's edition of the Black and Gold Report. Until next week, go Braves. Piece of cake, right?